Now then, people, it's Joe, it's All Leeds TV, and as promised, we are coming to you again with another opposition preview. Of course, on Wednesday night, we play Yorkshire rivals, local rivals, Hull City in the Carabao Cup. I've got with me Kathryn, who is a sports online journalist for the Mail Online and a massive Hull City fan. How are you, Kathryn? All right?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. We'll see if I'm saying that after tomorrow night's game.
Yeah. I mean, what are your expectations for the game? Do you think Grant McCann will play a strong lineup, or?
I can't see him playing full strength, just because for us getting out of League One is definitely the priority, and we're not going to reach the latter stages of the competition. I think he'll use it as a chance to give some of the players who haven't been starting the league game a chance to make a claim for coming into the team, give a few of the young players a chance. So it probably depends on what kind of team you play in terms of how competitive it is.
Yeah. I think from a Leeds perspective, just with the new boys just coming in, I genuinely think we might see Rodrigo Moreno start. We might see Robin Koch. Obviously, Liam Cooper as well was injured on Saturday, supposedly coming back to fitness. I think he might play him as well to give him a bit of match fitness. So, and I remember last season we got knocked out by Stoke, and Bielsa wasn't happy that we'd been knocked out because he sees it as a competition in where he can get people game time that maybe won't feature in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So I think we will field a strong lineup. Just on Grant McCann, obviously you got relegated last season, now in League One. I thought personally he might have been moved on, especially with what happened against Wigan and some of the performances towards the back end of the season. It literally fell off the end of a cliff. What are your thoughts as a Hull City fan with him still in the door? Like what is the general consensus amongst Hull City fans?
Well, yeah, you're not the only one that thought he might be out of the job this season, but I think the owners took a few things into consideration. One, who at this point would come to the club? Who could we get out there that would be more experienced, that would want to take the job on with the budget that they would likely to have? And the other thing was he has been in League One before with Peterborough and Doncaster, took Doncaster relatively on a low budget to the playoffs, although they didn't make the final. So I think that was probably part of their thinking, and also that Grant wanted to stay and was probably on a fairly low wage, so wasn't going to cost them too much to keep him. And obviously he had brought quite a few of his own players in, so that was probably part of their decision making. But he definitely lost a lot of the fan base last season. Like you say, I mean, the way the season kind of collapsed was just really difficult to see, especially as a lot of it we were watching, although maybe it was a good thing we weren't actually in the grounds to watch some of the performances. But I don't know, sometimes you feel a bit better if you can actually shout and influence the games rather than just sort of shouting at your computer screen instead. But yeah, I'd say he's got a lot to prove this season in terms of winning the fans back over. He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, he has got experience in that division, though, right? And you got off to a winning start at the weekend, a 2-0 win, I believe, away at Gillingham. I seen a fan turn up at the ground with a flare, which I thought was absolutely epic. Great work. But yeah, at least you got off to a good start. What are your expectations for the season in League One then?
I think you'd like to think we can make the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I mean, you've seen kind of Sunderland drop into the division and not go straight up 2 years in a row now. I know last season got cut off early, but it's a really difficult league to get out of. I mean, obviously you guys kind of know from your own experience, it's not straightforward. Like, it doesn't really matter where you've come from. You can say obviously we've been a Premier League club only a couple of years ago, but it's a really competitive division, and it's like I say, yeah. I mean, it was good to start off with a win, because I won't say I was confident of getting something, because I think a few people were tipping Gillingham to maybe kind of push for the playoffs this season. I think there'll be harder games than the one that we had on Saturday. As an experience as a manager as Steve Evans is, Gillingham didn't offer a great deal, and there are probably better teams in League One than them. So it was a good place to start, but I say it's going to get a lot harder, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you say, we were down there for a good few seasons. You know, it was difficult, and it's mad, really, because I've seen many teams come up through League One and it be like springboard, like, and go straight back up. You know, the likes of Southampton did it. I think Leicester did it. You know, there's been some Sheffield United, of course, as well. You know, there's been some really big clubs down there as well. I think when we were down there, we had the likes of Nottingham Forest and stuff down there with us as well. So it can happen to anyone, right? Does the blame lay mainly with the owners? Obviously, you were up there. From an outsider's perspective, they looked at it and it felt to me, we're safe, we're fine. Let's move Jarrod Bowen on. Let's move Grzycki on because we'll be fine. And it obviously went drastically wrong. I mean, what's the situation with the owners now? Like,
yeah, it was. I think they probably did think we were safe. We were sort of end of January. I think we'd given up any hope of the top six, but we were sort of looking fairly safe in mid-table. And I mean, we got a good price for Jarrod Bowen. I know if we'd waited till the summer, we might not have got 20 million with the situation that we have now. But we also sold Grzycki, who was the other main source of goals and assists. And to lose both of them at the same time, it just sort of stripped you of all the creativity that we had. And then we brought a couple of players in on loan. Malik Wilkes, which was one who did quite well. Marcus Maddison from Peterborough, who never really kind of got off the ground. And it just wasn't replacing the same quality. And I think once we got into a rut, even with the break and the months without playing, once we got into that spiral, I just don't think I knew how to stop it. And that was kind of why I think a lot of the fans wanted him to go, because he just wasn't able to get anything from the squad. Yeah,
I remember, like, obviously we played you, I think around February time it might have been, I think. And
our last home game before the lockdown, I think.
Oh, was it? Oh, right, okay. Yeah, and they were just, I mean, if you compare it to when we played you in the season, because I remember Dallas doing a really good job on Jarrod Bowen and keeping him pretty quiet, and the difference between that side and the one we played later on in the season that we, you know, put 4 past, and it was quite comfortable in the end. Well, it was, you know, I think we scored really early as well, didn't we? And that was it. And yeah, it was just like chalk and cheese. It literally fell off a cliff, didn't it? And then of course, I mean, what were your thoughts with the Wigan result? Like, you know, when that's happening, like, oh, it must have been brutal for you.
It was, honestly. People that I've not spoken to for years were suddenly getting in touch out of nowhere. I mean, it almost became kind of comical watching it and thinking, like, you know, we'd gone through, like you say, we conceded early against you, and I think after the lockdown game started, we'd conceded in the first, apart from maybe Charlton in the first game, we'd conceded within the first 5 minutes of nearly every game. So we conceded after about 100 seconds or something. So it was like, great, you know. Great start. It was billed as a really big game as well. It was billed as like a 6-pointer. We were still 3 points ahead of Wigan with their points deduction factored in. And it was sort of like, just, you know, must not lose game. And to go sort of 1-0 down so quickly and then just, I didn't think it was going to stop, I'll be honest. Like, if the time whistle hadn't come, it would have kept coming. Yeah. And I do think Paul Cook sort of probably said to his side to ease off in the second half, because they only scored 1 goal. Kieran Dowell got his hat-trick and that was it. And I think they could have gone on and got, you know, 10 if they'd wanted to.
I mean, obviously watching it at the time, you know what football fans are like. Like, as a Leeds fan, it was quite enjoyable. I was like, wow. But I feel your pain as well, because obviously the owner situation and that, we've had some pretty bad owners in our time, you know, and it really rips the heart out of the club at times, and it's hard, isn't it, you know? Obviously, you've got a couple of ex-Leeds players in there. You touched on Malik Wilkes. One that I want to touch on specifically was Louis Coyle. Massive fan of Louis Coyle. They're quite big in Hull as well, obviously. His brother's a boxer as well, right? But I think when Bielsa came in, Louis Coyle was already on loan at Fleetwood. Had he have been at the club, I think he might have been given a chance, because I really rated him, you know, whenever I did see him. I think, were you aware of him at all as he played, as he featured? You know, can you tell us a bit about Louis?
Well, he's not actually been able to play for us yet in any of the like we've had the first round of the Carabao Cup and then the other game because he was suspended. I think he was sent off in Fleetwood's playoff game, right. So he missed the first leg against Sunderland and then missed the league game because apparently the EFL Trophy didn't count as one of his suspended games. Okay. We've actually not seen him in action yet because we didn't get all the pre-season games. We didn't get sort of any highlights or anything like that. But I do remember him. I'm pretty sure he was either on the bench or played against us when he was at Leeds because I remember seeing him on the team sheet and it came out that he was brother of Tommy Coyle. I was thinking, what's the guy from Hull doing playing for Leeds? This is right. But yeah, it was nice to kind of see him sign and obviously he's a Hull lad and a Hull fan. So he's kind of one we're excited to see. And I'm expecting him to play tomorrow night just because he's not played yet and it's a chance for him to get a few minutes under his belt. Yeah,
I think it's an ideal situation as well against your old club. Point to prove. We might see a performance from him, definitely. And I'd like to see him, if I'm being totally honest. You know, I touched on before some of the players that might come in for Leeds United. I do think Rodrigo Moreno will play, Koch, Cooper. I think there'll be a pretty strong lineup. Some of the under-23s in there as well. What are your hopes for the game? Like you say, it's same for us in a respect of, to be honest, the Carabao Cup's the Carabao Cup. I'm really not bothered. My head is just on the Premier League now, as you can imagine. You know, it's the pinnacle, right? It's where we all want to be. And I want to stay there, right? And I see these sort of cup competitions. Like you said, I can't see us going far in it, you know, and that's just my opinion. You know, people watching this might disagree. But what are your hopes for the fixture in itself?
Well, hopefully to not get thrashed. That'd be quite nice. I think it's a really good chance, actually. As much as we say the competition means nothing to us, it's a good chance for Grant McCann to win a few fans over, perhaps. Because if we were to get a victory over Leeds, even though there's not any fans at the game, it'd be like winning points with the supporters almost. But I can't see it happening because ultimately, it was, like I say, well, it might be a few first teamers for us. It's primarily going to be a second string team. And even, like you say, you're expecting kind of a strongish team. Your second string team is still going to be stronger than ours, stronger than our first team even. So I think I'm expecting you guys to win fairly comfortably, but hopefully we don't see another Wigan happen. That wouldn't be nice, especially against Yorkshire rivals. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, from a Leeds perspective, I think that'd be quite enjoyable. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to ask you to stick your neck on the line and give me a score prediction, Kathryn.
I mean, I'd love to be optimistic, and I feel really, as a Hull fan, I should predict a win. But if I'm going to be brutally honest, I'd say probably Leeds 3-1. I'll let us have a goal. Maybe we'll grab one on the break, but I just can't. I can't see us really sort of giving you much of a game. That sounds awful, but I just can't do it. Maybe
as long as Louis Coyle's the one that scores it, I don't mind. I don't mind him. But yeah, I think we'll, with all due respect, I think we'll run out comfortable winners just because I think we'll play a pretty strong side just because the new players need bedding in. Cooper just back from injury. And even our young lads, I mean, the levels that they're at, we played like a second string when we played Arsenal in the FA Cup and we gave them a one hell of a game. I think with Bielsa, the style of play is just inherent now in the club, in the under-23s, in the under-18s. So anyone that does come in, and we've been making some exciting signings. We signed the kid Joe Geldart, for example, who was at Wigan, Cody Drama, who was at Fulham, Sam Greenwood, who we got from Arsenal. These are all under-23s. So we're starting to flesh out the youth now as well, now that we've made that step up to the Prince. So I do fully expect us to have a decent youth in there, obviously matched with some experience in there as well, and I do think we'll win the game. But thank you so much, Kathryn, for coming on. Where can we find you if indeed we want to and the folks want to follow?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kathryn Batte. Batte spelled with an E because it's not like David Batty, the footballer, sadly. But yeah, you can find us on Twitter like that.
Great stuff. Make sure you check her out. And as I say, good luck, obviously, with the journalism stuff and that. I hope it goes massively well for you.
And I'd like to wish you good luck for the season, but I
Yeah, no, but like I say, hopefully, if you've got some time after, depending on how it goes, if we haven't battered you too much, I'll get you on for an opposition post-match chat as well, if that's okay with you. But yeah, thank you very much, Kathryn, and we'll leave it there.
Cheers.